A selfie by definition is a photo one takes of themselves. A long exposure selfie? Well, it's essentially the same thing with a bigger camera. The art of the long exposure selfie, though, isn't the shutter speed, the location, or the composition. It's about creating a feeling. It's about allowing the viewer to look at the person standing in the frame and think, that could be me. Ooh, another 3:30 a.m. wake up for some photography here at Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland. Let's go take some pictures. So I'm almost on location, just up here is where I'm headed. If you watched yesterday's episode, I scouted this out yesterday. So I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly the composition I want to shoot, which makes it really easy. I kind of just got to get out there, set up my gear, and get the shot. The shot I have in mind is this long exposure selfie with kind of like the classic rocks, and there's like this mound of the rocks right out in the sea, and I want to be up on top of it. So yeah, long exposure selfie coming up this morning. The art of the long exposure selfie, the topic of the day, and always my favorite images to shoot. Filters, I'm just gonna do a 3-stop soft grad ND. That's the right one? Okay, the art of the long exposure selfie. I think there's 3 things that you need to know about the long exposure selfie. First, the goal isn't to brag. The goal isn't to be like, hey, check me out, I'm standing here on a rock. The goal is to inspire. The goal is to tell the viewer that could be them. The goal is to inspire the viewer to go stand in cool places. Because essentially, the art of the long exposure selfie is standing in cool places. Second, shutter speed's important because a person can't stand still for 30, 60 seconds. So you need to stand still for maybe like 8, 10 seconds. That tends to be the sweet spot. I don't do any blending. I never blend 2 images together. It's always one photo. That's the way it looks the cleanest. That's the way it looks the best, in my opinion. And finally, you gotta stand still. You gotta stand really, really still. The other reason for a long exposure selfie rather than just a landscape photo is adding a person to the image adds scale. It makes the viewer see how big the landscape is. So often in landscape photography, it's hard to show that scale. Adding a human element, it totally does that for you. So that's why we add a person into the frame. There's some people coming, and it's always a little bit embarrassing shooting these photos when people are here. But I do see 2 people walking down the path, so I'm gonna knock this out one more time, a second attempt at this shot. The way I'm shooting this is with the intervalometer within the 5D Mark IV. You don't need the 5D Mark IV. Any camera that has an intervalometer in it, or any camera that can attach an intervalometer to it will do it. You could also do this with like a remote release if you weren't so far away from the camera. I'm basically setting my camera so it takes pictures constantly. It'll just keep shooting until the end of time. It takes one photo, then the next photo, then the next photo, then the next photo. And I've done that through the intervalometer. And this way I can shoot and then go walk around and stand in various parts of the frame. Since the exposure is 10 seconds long, I need to stand in a spot for at least 21 seconds. And the theory on that is if I get to a spot and the camera's already shooting at 1 second, I need to be standing still for an entire 1 frame, so at least just double whatever your shutter speed is and stand that long, and that'll come out. So again, people coming, so I want to get this shot before they get here and judge me so hard. The light is such a tease right now. It is still nice. I could probably shoot for another hour in this light, but I gotta get to Texas. Yeah, you heard me right. So I'm in the airport, and actually I filmed this bit once before and security chased me down and told me I had to delete it because apparently on the other side of security you're not allowed to film. But anyways, I'm here at Dublin Airport. I'm flying to Texas, as I mentioned, to Dallas via Chicago, and I cannot believe I'm heading back to the States. 4 days ago I didn't know that. This just happened really, really quickly, and I think I'll talk about that when I get into Dallas tonight. But yeah, crazy this life of mine sometimes. Time to go hang out in the airport lounge, get some vlog editing done, and then get on this flight. 8-hour flight to Chicago, nap time. Into Chicago Airport and feeling kind of smart for a change. I had a flight option with a 55-minute layover, but I decided to take the one with a longer layover just to be a little bit safe, even though they said you'd totally make that connection. And our flight had mechanical problems leaving Dublin, so we were delayed like 2 hours. So now I have time to make my flight. Feeling clever today. Getting kind of good at this travel thing maybe. And yeah, next flight is to Dallas. Okay, so I made it to Texas. I'm in Dallas, just picking up the rental car and heading to the Renaissance Hotel. I think let's drive and I'll talk when I get there. Okay, so I made it to Dallas. I'm in Dallas. I'm at the Renaissance Hotel. And this is what's happening. Basically, the Marriott was really happy with our Route 66 project. I think, at least nobody's told me that directly, but the fact that they hired us again, like 5 days after that project ended, tells me that they were happy with what we did on the Route 66 project, which is awesome because the Marriott is an awesome client. And I have another big project with them. It's here in Texas, obviously. I'll be here in Dallas, going to Houston and San Antonio and Austin as well. Matt's gonna be coming as well. He's coming in 2 days, I believe. I'm meeting him in Houston. He's on another assignment right now in San Diego, so he's gonna join in on this a little bit late. But talking quick about the Marriott and this assignment, it's awesome to have clients that give you freedom to do whatever you want, or not whatever you want, but basically that have goals that kind of align with yours. The Marriott basically just wants us to showcase Texas. They want me to do what I do and kind of just show off Texas. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I've been to Dallas before when I was like, I don't know, like 10. And I haven't been back since, so I'm looking forward to maybe shooting some skyline. I don't know what else there is, to be honest. I've been so busy that I haven't really researched. I haven't shot Houston before either. I've done Austin a bunch, and I love Austin, so I'm excited to go back there. And I'm really excited to go to San Antonio. I've never been to San Antonio before. I've heard amazing things about San Antonio. I think it'll be really fun to photograph, so I'm excited. And if I'm being totally honest with you, I should be tired, but I'm not. I slept maximum 5-6 hours over the past 2 nights total. And then on the flight over, I've maybe slept, I don't know, maybe an hour. So I should be tired, but I'm not. I should be jet lagged, but I'm not. And I guess we'll have to see if that continues tomorrow morning. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about this project other than I'm excited to be back working with the Marriott, and I'm excited to be in Texas. It's hot out there. Like, it's so crazy coming from Northern Ireland to Texas in the same day, because it was cold and the weather was actually quite nice in Northern Ireland, and then here it's hot. It was like 100 degrees when we landed, which is like 40 Celsius. So yeah, gonna have to get used to the heat. But I'm excited. Road tripping, back in the US, back exploring, shooting travel photography, a little bit of architecture probably, and some skylines, and I don't know what else, some fun stuff. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say today. It was fun shooting the long exposure selfies this morning. I had lots of fun shooting in Northern Ireland, and I need to get back to Ireland some point to explore more, especially on the west coast of Ireland. The Wild Atlantic Way has been on my list for like basically since I started traveling, and I still haven't done it. So one of these years I have to get it done, and maybe it'll be this year or next. Or, as always happens with Ireland, I'll plan it and then it'll get canceled, or plans will change. Anyways, that's it. Time for me to crash, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.